Bloody Mary Podcast.
Welcome to the Bloody Mary Podcast, where we talk about all things horror while drinking a Bloody Mary. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Tami. And we are totally married. Tonight we got our Bloody Marys, and we are reviewing the Netflix Fear Street series, 1994, 1978, and 1666.
Yeah, 3 movies.
Yeah, based on R.L. Stine books.
Yeah, I didn't know that until afterwards. I think it said that or something?
Yeah,
like on the
during
final
the credits? Yeah.
I had no idea. But I never really read those. It just kind of skipped me. I think my brother was more into those, the R.L. Steins, but I never read. I think I might have read one, but I don't remember at all.
I read as many as I could get my hands on, which wasn't a lot in the school library, and there wasn't a lot. I didn't go to the public library a lot when I was little, but I ate that shit up when I was younger. So I don't know why I didn't connect in my brain, but
yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to know if the people that have read those, if any of that is canon for the books, or if it's super loosely based on them or anything. But
I'll have to do some more research.
Yeah, but yeah, these really aren't separate films. It's kind of like one big 6-hour movie.
Right.
Because they're all interconnected. And I was doing some research, and the original plan for these was they shot them, I think, for Fox a few years ago. And then Disney bought Fox. And then the pandemic hit, and then they didn't know what to do with it, because the original plan was they were going to release these in the theaters like a month apart from each other.
Which would have been super rad.
Yeah, it would have been cool. Like,
that would have been cool.
June get one, July get one, August get one. It would be cool if they did that anyways still.
They should.
But then a pandemic happened, Netflix jumped in and probably just gave them shovels of carts of money and hey, well, we'll take it.
That money was spent on music.
It was.
And special effects.
Yeah. So the director is Lee Janik. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name, but she was born in 1980, so she's my age, which is really cool. She directed a few TV episodes of Scream, and then I think maybe 1 or 2 other shows, but her first film she made was in 2014. So aside from that film and some TV stuff, this was her next thing. And I think she's one of my favorite up-and-coming directors right now.
Oh, yeah.
I really like how they were directed, for sure.
Oh, yeah. For her, big thing.
Yeah.
3 movies. Yeah. That, she did great.
Yeah. And, I'd want to do something like that. And, we can touch on that. So I have a short film called Night of the Witch.
You do?
And I'm in the process of scripting the feature, right?
Right.
And we're going to get that made. And it's just so many of the same beats that I was going to do, or that, some of the stuff that's in my short film and things. It was pretty similar. So I was like, God damn it. My whole thing is there's a witch and in the woods, and there's lore, and there's teens.
Right.
And there's campground too. That was, that's going to be in it. But also what came out of that for me was I was taking notes for my script while watching this. It was, one, it was okay, I'm not going to do this.
Right.
And then 2, it was just giving me ideas that had nothing to do with what I was watching. I was like, oh, for some reason, watching this series, every time we watched it was inspiring for my script. So
that's awesome.
That was cool.
That is cool. And, I know that you're God damn it. But I think that'll help it in the long run. Yeah. That'll push you further to do something a little bit different. Yeah,
for sure. And everything has been done too, so...
You just got to put your spin on it.
But anyways, so the first one is Fear Street 1994. So what do you think about that one?
My biggest beef with this entire series, but
which is mine too.
Specifically 1994?
Very much 1994.
It was the music. Every time you turned around, there was a fucking 90s song. It was we get it. It's the 90s. Yeah. Oh my God.
So it's cool to have a soundtrack, right? And to get songs. But I think we were counting. We were 30 minutes in, and there had already been 12 90s songs. And we're we fucking get it.
Yeah.
It's the 90s. I got it.
Oh, here's Nirvana.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain time to play songs.
Yes.
And it was every beat of this, every scene, it was every time you turned around, it was another 90s song, another 90s song, another 90s song.
it got better as like the series went. Like 1978 had 70s songs, but not as much as 1994. And then the last one, 1666, had a few.
They did it right in 66 because
with
they put
their score
with their score because like
and their soundtrack.
When they did the 90s song, it was during a fucking montage, which is when you should have songs.
Yeah, no, like the first one, I think they started off, the first one you hear is 9 Inch Nails. And it established it, and you're in the mall like, okay, we're in the 90s, got it. But then they just kept going and going. It was like every couple minutes there was a new 90s song. I'm like, come the fuck on. But on the other hand, I get it. Like if I'm a filmmaker, I placehold songs when I'm editing. When I edit a project, I'm like, okay, this is a song in my head for this and this and this. And then I send it off to my, who's ever going to compose the score. So they have a really great idea of the type of music I'm going for.
Right.
But if you're in a world where Netflix is just handing you cash and unlimited resources and they're like, well, you can just have those songs. They'll be like, it'd be hard to like say no.
Right.
Like I can just have 9 Inch Nails. Okay, I can just have Bush. All right, let's put it in then. Fine. Fuck it.
I feel like they're like, can we get the now that's what I call the 90s.
Right.
Can we get that one number 4 that has all the music on it? I'm like,
yeah.
Yes, there's a certain placeholders, but it really kind of, for me, distracted a bit from the first half of that movie because it was pissing me off, quite frankly.
It was making us both upset. And I think, we even stopped. We like watched half of it and then we came back to watch the rest of it like later, like a couple days later, I think, just because we were burnt out from all the songs.
It really was. But that being said, they had some really, really dope kills.
Yeah.
The girl getting pushed into the meat slicer is just cutting her head open. That was fucking glorious.
So spoilers, if you don't know, we spoil some stuff.
Super spoilers.
Super spoilery. So if you haven't watched Fear Street, check them out. And just keep listening.
The kills were super rad.
The kills for the entire series were really good.
Were spot on. And I think that's where they won with having Fox shoot most of it. And then essentially Netflix comes in and like, all right. And you get the special effects.
Netflix gave them a shit ton of money for post-production, I guarantee. I guarantee they doubled, their budget. Just like, here's an extra fucking $50 million. Have fun with your music and effects.
And I liked that the cast was young. Like usually when they put like kids, you can tell they're like in their 20s. But like these were kids.
I think so, or at least they were cast correctly.
Right, they were cast.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Like the positives of it, I think the cast for 1994 and the entire series was really great. I thought it was a good cast. I think the first one went a little too far with paying homage to like the 90s and Scream. Like they even open like almost frame for frame, it seemed like the opening kill for Scream where like the killer's running and stabs. And a lot of the score throughout it sounded like, Marco Beltrami's score for Scream. I just think it went like, so there's like a balancing act you have to play of paying homage to something and then copying. And I think they just went past it a little too much for like paying homage with 1994 to copying a little too much.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I love that all the killers come back and they're like,
yeah.
And the kids are just like, and then their plans. I mean, they had some really great plans to try to get away from all these killers that were coming after them.
But the last one, we'll get into.
Well, no, in 1994, they went to the school and they like trapped him in a bathroom. They blew him up.
Okay, they blew him up. I forgot about that. Yeah,
they did shit, and then the tie to like. To the next movie where they call the chick and then she calls him back like I died, that's how I got it, and like oh, we gotta kill you. yeah. I like the last act of 1994 better than the first, but I get it. I understand from, I guess, probably a marketing standpoint, or the demographic you're going is probably 10 to 15 to 20 years younger than us, to where 90s is now their nostalgia. Oh my God.
80s is kind of like mine and a touch of 90s. But so I think that's, one of the reasons.
Yeah, probably.
They did all that, for sure. But yeah, and then, so I didn't watch any trailers for these before going into them. I didn't either. So I thought they were like separate films almost. I thought these were going to be, you know, like how Hulu does their horror movies. It's like Into the Dark, but each one is just a different movie.
Right.
I thought this was just called, you know, how Hulu has Into the Dark and they're separate films. I thought that's what Netflix was doing. It was called Fear Street, and these are separate films. But yeah, they're just, and then the first one ended and like, oh, it's not over. And then
I thought when we first started watching it that when they brought the Sarah Fear witch stuff in and like all these killers are coming back, I thought then it would just be done.
Yeah.
And then you'd get to see the killer in 78, which essentially you did. But I didn't think there was going to be a running, not running theme, but like connected.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like a thread.
It was.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's just one big 6-hour film. Yeah. So yeah, moving on to the second one, 1978. And this one out of the three was my favorite.
Mine too.
I really like this one. I loved it. I liked the structure of it. It felt like this one, out of the rest, could have been flushed into its own standalone movie, like if they wanted to, if they just, you know, tweaked a couple things. I like the kills best in this one because they were almost like the classic hack and slash, you know, Friday the 13th, brutal. And I like this one had my favorite killer. I liked, again, probably because he looked like Jason, and it was a campground. I love Friday the 13th, so it was pretty much just Friday the 13th without saying it.
Really? What?
Right?
He even had a sack on his head.
I know. But I just like the brutal axe kills. I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
That was cool when he like, they're like, was it Tommy is his name?
I forget.
And then they look and the girls like pop out and he just axes the shit out of the other guy. And they're like, oh.
And then he went and like axed a whole bunch of kids too.
Oh my God. He just killed all the kids.
He like Anakin Skywalker'd him. That was rad. I like that. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I like the setting, the 70s, 1978. Again, you know, it's, you know, part of where my short film Night Watch takes place is 1978. But whatever. Let's move past that. I liked it. I liked the actresses. I liked the two sisters. I thought that was really
Sink,
cool.
I really like her from Stranger Things. She did really, really great.
Duh, that's where she's from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would have liked to see her. I want to see her in more horror films.
Yeah.
I think she did pretty excellent in this. And I think she'd do good as a final girl.
Yeah, totally.
In other movies.
Yeah, I really like the ending scene where they're both getting murdered. The sisters are getting stabbed to death and like butchered together. Like,
right. And then it like pans up and then you just see them dead.
Yeah.
And then the Nick Good comes in, like he's supposed to take over for his dad. He's going to be the sheriff one day and he's like, you're not going to die. Yeah. And he saves her, which I mean, on one hand, cool. But on the other hand, like, wow, you saved me. Great, thanks. Everyone I know is dead. I have
I'd want to be saved.
PTSD up the ass.
I wouldn't want to die.
Now she's like locked in her house with like 6 different locks, and she has the thing. Like,
but she saves the day. Helps save the day.
She does,
right?
But I still would be like, "Fuck you."
I'd be like, "Thank you, sir. You saved my life."
As someone who has PTSD, and I don't know, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm good.
No, I think this one, you know, had the same beats as any campground slasher from the 80s, you know, and I liked it.
I did too.
I like the Goonies aspect of...
Oh, the shithole.
Yeah, the shithole. When they were down in the shithole, which was like the Goonies wishing well scene, except they're just in shit.
They're like, is that my sister? Like, she lifts up the toilet. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing down there?
And then, you know, they try to lift her up in like a bucket, much like the Goonies. And yeah, I thought that was pretty fun.
That was fun. And I liked the underground little tunnels they were stuck in. Yeah. And then the glob of just evil.
The Satan evil glob,
The Satan evil glob.
It reminded me of just It from Stephen King. Like there's this entity that's down below.
Right.
And it sends out its extensions,
which is really gross when they start climbing out of it. All the killers, like, that was awesome.
Yeah, no, 78 was my favorite. So 1666. What do you think of that one? The third one.
I liked that she like grabs her hand. You know, the girl like brings the bones back. That was the whole thing
of like the whole like. plot through the whole thing is a witch is doing all this. So throughout these films, they discover the bones, they discover the hand, and you think the witch is the bad guy, which I called I think halfway through the second movie. Did. I was like, she's not the villain.
She's not the bad guy.
There's too much going on in this world that they're creating here for her to be the bad. And you never see it. It's just people are talking about it.
And then you have
so rules of any movie, if you don't see anything, you don't know if it happened.
Right. And every time blood drips on the bones, then the killers come after the person.
Yeah.
And so the one girl's, because the whole thing was if you bring her hand back to her body, everything will stop.
Yeah.
So she does that. And then I liked that she got kind of transported in time a little bit, and she's living and then she's Sarah Fear.
Yeah.
And sees what happens. Yeah, and essentially it's because she's a lesbian.
Yeah.
She kissed the girl, and the girl kissed her back.
Yeah. Well, that's the plot of the first one too, right? There was the lesbian plot, and then,
kind of, but this one was really
yeah.
And the town just goes into blight, and now they blame her because they blame the girls because they're lesbians. They must be a witch.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You must be a witch. But then she finds out the bad guy is actually her friend, Solomon.
Yeah.
Solomon Good, who...
And you called that...
I did. I was like, oh, he's the bad guy.
And you called that he was the bad guy, and they were doing it through the generations.
Yep. Because then you're like, oh, that great Nick Good who saved her life is now the fucking bad guy.
Yeah.
He's been the bad guy the whole time.
Yeah.
He's the one that's... Yeah, so... I called it, but I do like the little twist.
It was cool because, you see him in the second one as being a good kid. But then someone that's cool, filmmaking techniques to where then you see it from a different perspective and they do your flashbacks and, oh, he wasn't really that good.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the one that was down under the ground being like, Tommy.
Yeah.
Or whatever the one killer with the sack on his head.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, the one thing that took me a minute, the 1666 was, so it used all the characters from the other films. The same actors are playing these characters. And it just, I couldn't buy their accents a lot of them.
Their accents were not great.
Yeah, it was hello, tally ho to the hay, and we shall drink our mead and take berries.
Witches. They're witches.
There are witches here. Yeah, I couldn't, no.
Yeah, those were a little hard to take.
I got into it, as it went, but I was like, this one. And thankfully that part wasn't too long. I think it was about an hour, the 1666. And then you come back to present day, which is 1994.
Right. And the whole, essentially, because there's the running theme of Shady Side and Sunnyvale, or no, Sunnyvale's Buffy, but
yeah, whatever. I didn't get that. I didn't realize that was a thing until the end of the third movie. Because they were talking about it. It was rival schools.
Rival schools. They had the whole rival schools, rival towns, because they were all union settlement. And then the Goods came along and struck a deal with the devil. And then all of the people that he wanted were all powerful and money and riches. And that side of town...
That's where they would sacrifice.
And so essentially every few years a good has to go down to the Satan pile and put a name on a list.
The Satan poop pile?
The Satan poop pile.
Down the shithole. Yeah.
Put a name on a list and kill some of the Sunny Shader, the other town.
Yeah.
Kill them because they're all crap and it's all cursed and they're all poor and...
Yeah, maybe I didn't pick up on that, but I never there's a town rival. I didn't know it was a big thing until the end of the third one. But I really liked Gillian Jacobs in this. She was the adult version of the Survivor girl from 1978. Ziggy. Yeah, she was really cool. I love the show Community. And she's in that. I watched it, and that's on Netflix now. So, I'm rewatching it again. I watched it when it first came out, but she was really good in that. And I'd like to see her. She's a good actress, and I'm surprised she hasn't got bigger roles. I don't see her in too much. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, way back when they were announcing the Suicide Squad and there's going to be a Harley Quinn, I thought she would have been a great one.
Really?
This actress, yeah. Anyways, it was cool that she was in it, and I liked her character.
It was cool. And I like how when the kids came back, they're like, you had it all wrong. That guy's bad.
Yeah, he's bad.
And she's like, shit, I called him.
Yeah. Right?
And so I love how they like steal the cop car and they roll up to there was like when the kids were in the police station back in 1994, there was just like some crook guy hanging out and he got like let go. And so like the kid like rolls up and he's like, hey, you want to help us kill the sheriff? And the guy's like, all right.
He's like, yeah, let me get my coat.
Let me get my coat.
That was cool. I liked his character. I think, like I said before, I think the cast was really great from this whole thing. Right.
And I love that the hanging tree, so they hang Sarah Fear from a tree.
Yeah.
And her body is supposed to be under the tree. And when in the 78 one, they're like, that's where they had the hand and they were going to bury her with the hand. And then the body wasn't there. And they're like, where's the tree now? In the middle of a fucking mall.
Yeah, it's just in the middle of a mall.
They built the mall around the tree.
Yeah, and that's really strange because it's a living tree inside of a mall.
Right.
Like, that's odd.
It is super odd.
Does that exist anywhere?
I'm sure probably, but like it was just super weird. Like they saved the tree that the witch was hanged at, and they just built the mall around it.
Maybe the bad people made that mall, designed it.
Maybe they did. Maybe the goods were like, we're keeping the tree as a reminder.
Yeah.
And we're just going to build rich and powerful money things around it.
Yeah. And I liked at the end how they get out of the tunnel and they crawl through the bad guy's house.
Oh yeah.
And you go and you see all his weird decorations, and then they come out into Yuppieville, and then they're all like, "What?" And then since the curse is lifted, then you see a truck like hit one of like the rich people. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And then soon, like the news, like, well, over in the rich town over here, shit's going wrong, and the sheriff turns out he's a serial killer. And I did like their trap in the mall though. They were super like how
that was cool.
They super soakered, all of
they like got her blood and then mixed it with neon paint so they could see it.
Right.
That was really fun.
That was fun. And then how they were like, the little grates in each store, and like they trapped them, and then that was really fun to watch. That was a really cool trap.
What were your favorite killers? Mine was, of course, I like the sackhead because it reminds me of Jason, but I really like the singing lady from the 50s.
Ruby Lane was my favorite. Lane.
And then I really enjoyed the kid with the weird mask and the baseball bat. He was creepy.
He was super creepy.
Yeah. Which ones did you like?
I liked Ruby Lane.
Yeah.
And I liked the creepy kid. And I mean the skull one, he was fun. He kind of reminded you of Scream, that one. But I would say Ruby Lane. She was creepy for me.
Well, I bet, they're successful, so you will probably see those.
And then that would be cool to see. Because that's what I thought. It was you're gonna get a picture of, that serial killer in this time. And that serial killer in this time.
Yeah.
But, it was super. And in the 60s and 66, thank God there wasn't music back then. I mean, it was actual score. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
And then when it did go back to 1994, they placed the songs where they should have.
Yeah,
it wasn't like.
Yeah, it wasn't
score
like,
and then 90s
50 songs in the first 10 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So if you had to rate all these movies, what would you rate? The first one out of 10. 1 out of 10 Bloody Marys.
7.
The first one?
Yes.
Cool.
What would you rate it?
5.
5?
Yeah. I think the first one it's a 5. It's average. Like I said, the first, I do it because if you're doing them individually, it's a 5. Because the first half was really, I did not like all that scoring.
Yeah.
And they leaned way too heavy into the 90s, way too heavy into Scream. That being said, I did like the cast a lot, and I like the kills.
The kills bumped it up for me.
And the directing. Yeah.
I mean, they put the girl in the meat cutter, and we watched her face get. That was awesome.
It was, but.
So for me, it bumped up because the kills were good.
Gotcha. But what about 1978?
8 for me.
That's the same for me. It's 8. I really like that one.
That was it was fun. I liked the cast. I liked the story.
Yeah.
It was, it had like that anxiety because like you go into it like, oh, she's she survived.
Yeah.
And I know that she mentions, well, I died, but you're not thinking like she's going to get stabbed 15 times.
Yeah.
And like that anxiety of being surrounded by all the killers and like that tension, that was cool.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, 8, there was some really cool like banging and sex moments in there.
There was.
Some
You saw
sexy
some
babes,
boobs.
some sexy butts.
Yeah.
Some man butt for you.
There was some man butt.
Yeah. I like that. So bumped it up to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of 1666?
That one, 7.
I also gave it a 7.
That one's a 7. It's better for me than 94. Yeah, it's a 7. You know, what brings it down just a little bit from like 8 or 9 land is with the accents and the kind of paint by numbers plot that 1666 had. But then the ending of it was great.
The ending was
how
great.
they wrapped up all the films was really cool.
It was.
Yeah.
Agreed. What about overall? As an overall 6-hour movie
Well, overall,
in 3 acts.
if I take 5 plus 8 plus 6, it's 20 divided by 3 equals 6.666666. So my overall rating is 666. So,
oh God. See, I didn't even do math. Now you're gonna make me do math?
no.
Okay.
So wait, what was your first one?
7.
7. Then
8. 7.
7, 8, 7. So you're probably 7. You're at a 7.
I'm at a 7. We'll just
Right?
say 7. Yeah. I'm not doing math in my head.
Okay. Cool. So you're 7. I'm 666.
Super close.
Yeah. So overall, I thought the series was those 3 films were really good.
They were.
I'd like to see more, and I thought it was great directing. I thought it was really good acting. I thought kills were really cool. I liked the killer designs. The special effects were cool. You know, it's just that it started off rough for me.
It
the
did
first
start
half
out
of
rough
1994,
because it was
but
really
it definitely redeemed itself as it went. Yeah, and the
Agreed.
structure of the 3 films was interesting. You know, it's a trilogy that they threw out there.
right.
You know, for sure. So I'm curious if they do more. Yeah.
I will, because you have, the Fear Street series and R.L. Stein, there's a lot of books.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to tap into.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know.
But
I'd like to see more.
Yeah, I'd like to see more from that director. And like I said, I'd like to see Sadie Sink do more horror and be a final girl. I think she would be...
Yeah.
She would be a good up-and-coming final girl.
Yeah, she would, for sure. Definitely. Cool. Well, heck, maybe we might have to dress as some of those for some Halloween, some of those killers. But anyways, well, that was Fear Street. So
All right.
our Bloody Marys are pretty much dead.
Yep. And so are we.
Yeah, totally. so drink in moderation. Enjoy life and death.
And we'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye-bye.
The Bloody Mary Podcast.